Hello, and welcome to IPN TV's Leadership Series. I'm your host, Shaina Salim, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Munawar Lakdawala, partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Munawar, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Privilege.
Munawar, let's start with talking a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit about your background and what you do at PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Certainly. So I joined the firm 2009, and right now, last year I was promoted as a partner within the firm. So right now my responsibility is in the digital solutions area, where I manage the digital business of the firm in the Southeast area and also nationally. And as part of that, we do a lot of work with large corporates on implementation of mobile solutions and anything to do with touching the glass. So if you go to any grocery store and you see those kiosks where you can do checkouts on your own, so those are the implementations that we do as part of the digital solutions. Also, one of the things that we do predominantly is the integration of the ERP applications, where we do work with clients on integrating their solutions, which are legacy apps, to SAP or Oracle or any of the cloud applications like Salesforce.
These are massive implementations that
these
we're talking
are
about.
Yeah, these are big implementations and large clients that we work with.
And possibly hundreds of thousands of employees, which would require an ERP solution.
Yeah. So we have employees over here in the US. We have the firm has over 40,000 employees in the US. And we have a large part of the business where we do offshore development work both in Bangalore and India. And there are other centers in India also, like Calcutta and Delhi. And then we do also work in Shanghai. And we are also starting up some nearshore centers in places like the South America and Canada.
So as you're essentially following the sun, do you get enough sleep at all?
So that's a funny part, but we call it as the work-life integration, where it's not necessary for you to work 24 hours a day. You find the right balance and you integrate your work in your life, and you have fun.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Work-life balance being the mantra.
That's the big thing.
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Munawar, my next question pertains to something that I relate with you, and that is both of us are first-generation immigrants into the United States.
Yes.
And becoming a partner at a large consulting firm is clearly not a simple task. It's not easy. It doesn't come to everybody. How did you, first of all, did you even think about getting to this position? Was it planned deliberately, or did that just happen? And tell us a little bit about your journey and what challenges or what are some things that may have helped you in getting to this point of your career?
Certainly. So before we get to me becoming the partner in the firm, I would like to share a little bit about my personal background, right? So I grew up in India, and I did my graduation, never thought about coming to the US or being a partner in a firm like PwC. And I remember when I was doing my graduation, we used to look upon KPMG, PwC, like big firms, right?
Sure.
And those are multinationals, and you always look forward, one day maybe I could work with them.
True.
And I had this dream in the back of my mind that I want to be. The most important thing that I had was the passion to become big in what I do. So I continued my education, which was my major focus when I was in India. And while doing my education, I also started looking at opportunities where I can start working with large corporates to gain experience. And that's what I thought was, at that point in time, gaining the experience and the mantra to make my leap forward, right? So as I was doing my graduation, finished a couple of internship with large clients, and then did my MBA in India, and got opportunity with Anderson Consulting over there. And as I started working with them, they had a project in Australia and in Dubai and other locations, and they offered me, hey, you want to go and work over there? So that's took me to a country outside of the India, and I'm like, okay, it's a good opportunity, let's try it out. And as you mentioned, once you step out of your own comfort zone, which is I stepping out of India and going to Dubai at that time, I felt a little bit uncomfortable with the culture, the work environment, although you had a lot of other Indian people around you. But that gave me a good exposure and experience at that time. And from there, I got an opportunity to come to the US. And coming to the US was a complete cultural shock. And over here, I came right around when there was a dot-com bust, right, in 2000, 2001. And that led to, being on top of your game, making sure that you are up to speed with the technology, you are up to speed with what's going on in the industry, and learning the new gigs. So I kept up myself. The key was continuous education and continuously improvement and understanding of what the market demands, right? So, and that kept me going, and I stepped from Anderson into KPMG and spent some time with KPMG, and in 2009 I got a really good opportunity with PwC and joined PwC with the firm as a director, worked with some of the accounts, and the firm was very good to me. They recognized the potential. I had the right mentors and the right sponsors who helped and support me throughout my journey, and last year I got to the partnership. So it has been a great journey all along, and a lot of learning lessons, but the key was never to give up, keep your goals, keep your targets, and once you achieve those goals and targets, think about what's the next.
Yep.
Where you want to go to the next level, right? So keep doing that, and make sure that you have the right group and the right sponsors with you.
And it's very important that you mention about sponsors and mentors, and being in the corporate world. I have definitely, recognized the value of having the right sponsors, to take your career to the next level.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you continue to mentor. If you have opportunities, do you get opportunities to mentor, other peers or those who are starting off in the corporate life? And anything else that you may do in addition to just continuing your day-to-day routine at PwC?
Yeah. So we believe as a firm, right, we have three main core principles for any partners, right? So one is being resilient, like you keep pursuing your goals personally, right? I mean, you have to be resilient. Any kind of situation, you need to make sure that you stay strong and keep marching forward. You identify what are the if you come into a problem and a bottleneck, you find a solution to it. The other option, the other thing is growing your network, and the third one is making sure you develop your team, which we focus a lot on. And personally, coming from India and having the right sponsors with me all along, and they helping me get to the next level all the time, tells me how important it is for me to keep developing my community or the people who I work with. So I did some work last year also, starting a program in our community where we work with the students in the college as a mentor and the coachee relationship, where we help them identify what are the right kind of opportunities they should look for, if there is an internship that they should be targeting for, or in their careers, what are the things that they should plan for, right? So like I kept getting those coaching from my sponsors. My vision was to continue building that program within our community. So we successfully launched that, and we have the coachee and mentors within the community who help each other, and it's not just one-sided. I realize now, being a mentor, it's not just one-sided. It's funny because as a mentor, I also learn a lot from my coaches.
True, and that's very humbling to even know. Very few people realize that when we are trying to give, that we indeed gain ourselves as well. And very happy to hear you acknowledge that. Tell us a little bit about the values that you grew up with, and there are values that we of course are raised within our family with. We acquire values through our friends, through our acquaintances, our spouses, their families, and then our corporate relationships, our careers and whatnot. What are the values that you hold close to you and those that help you succeed, and how are you able to practice it in daily life?
Yeah, the reason I'm smiling is because we did this exercise almost before I took up my partnership. So really fresh in my mind right now. Some of the values that I grew up with was, looking at my family. When we were in India, I knew how my dad used to work, and how much hard work he used to do on a day-to-day basis, working with his business and his associates. And also my mom, she used to teach, and there was a little bit of aspects of teaching, but more about giving back to the community at that time also. So I picked this up from my parents mainly, the hard work, which is very important. And at the same time, you have to give back to the community, because it's important for you as you grow up and as you start growing in your life. You have to make sure that your community, your network, and people who look up to you are also growing along with you. And those were the two principles that I always lived with, and I always carry them by them all the time. And it's funny that when last year when I was doing the values, I realized that how close I am to that, and unconsciously I was doing it within myself.
True.
And if I put a little bit of consciousness to that, it could make a larger and bigger impact. So I started volunteering more, and you find that it gives you an inner satisfaction and helps you more than what you would think.
True. And I believe you're doing some work on the HIV impacted patients
Yeah.
outside. Could you throw some light on that for
Sure.
us?
So I'm part of the board of the Living Room, which is a non-profit in Atlanta, and they provide support to the HIV patients in Atlanta area. And basically the idea is if they are homeless, they've been struggling in their life, they need medication help, so we provide them that kind of support, and give them both from a monetary standpoint as well as emotional support whenever they need that.
That's a very noble thing to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of leaders that I've spoken to and we've interviewed, and have this innate value of giving back to the community. So it's very heartwarming to see that a lot of leaders, very successful people in their careers, find the time, the energy, the opportunity, and the resources to give back to the community, and that's a very noble thing to do.
And trust me, it is more it gives you more once you give back to the community. So it's really, if you ask me, it is a personal reason I do it. It's my personal satisfaction, nothing more than that.
Right. And you have a wonderful family. You've been blessed with a great career, a lot of hard work and the zeal that you've put into this. There are, several users, throughout the world who are watching this program today. What is the one piece of advice or any kind of parting comments that you would like to give to our viewers that they can take with them?
Sure. So one thing which I grew up with was, when you get into a new environment, there are always challenges for you, right? You should always think about how to overcome those challenges rather than taking a step back, because it's only in the moment, at that point in time, that you see that things are very overwhelming. And sometimes it feels that, maybe I'm not in the right place, or, how do I overcome these issues? But if you take a step back, think about it, you will always find a solution. And the best thing is to reach out to people within your community, or who you look up to as a role model, or if you have sponsors, or if you have mentors who can help you out. And they will certainly, there are so many people who are willing to help, and they will certainly help you out and help give you guidance as to how you can overcome those challenges. So certainly that's one of the big thing I would always tell anyone. You should focus on that. You never give up. The other piece of advice I would give to anyone is, start early. Don't wait for someone to come and tell you, yes, here's an opportunity for you. You have to be always on the lookout, and that will give you a benefit in the long run.
Great. Well, I truly enjoyed talking with you and learning about your journey. Definitely an interesting one. Thank you very much for being
You're
part of
welcome.
our leadership series, and we hope to connect with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being part of IPN TV's leadership series. We will be back with yet another successful leader and give you an insight into their career and their journey. In the meantime, correspond with us through our social media sites and let us know what you think. Thank you very much.